Writing SwiftUI code in a tutorial is cool, but writing it in real life consumer app is a whole different beast. Things can get quite hairy real quick. We all started using SwiftUI with trailing closures. Soon we got too comfortable that we didn't even realize that how hard it is to maintain that kind of code where trailing closure after trailing closure. So if writing good and maintainable code is your jam, then I welcome you to watch this video and learn with me. So today's demo app is a little bit complex because I have to simulate how things are in a real app. So if we look over here, we have this a few hundred line, no, not even 100 line of code, but as we can see, all these curly braces, modifier after modifier, we just kind of not too sure where things are starting and where things are ending. In this tutorial, the issue that we are going to focus is not as much as the content or writing the app, but when you look at the code and how bad it looks or it's hard to understand, which already increase the cognitive load so much that you have no idea what's happening. The first issue here that we are going to discuss is the trailing closure. As you can see that when you start your body, you have VStack, H-stack between VStack having the list and all that stuff and all the trailing closure. If I want to put something in here, I'm not too sure that where things are starting unless I put my cursor in here, then realize, okay, this is ending here, these two buttons here, and this tiny list view is here, and then we have this view here in the bottom. At the very first, I want to take you to the documentation, and why the documentation is important here is because if you look at the init method, you actually can see that there is a whole initialization of the H-stack. So the same initialization goes for a VStack, same initialization goes for Z-stack, and all the stuff that we are generally right here with trailing closure. I'm going to show you that except doing the trailing closure where things seems very easy and understandable, but in a real life when you writing the complex UI, it can be complicated. I started recommending is that writing full closures. If you have any alignment or spacing, it's fine, but if it is only the content, we'll just do the content. In this case, if you see that I have this running app right now, I'm changing this credit view, which is right here. Cut this one from this H-stack, place it inside here, and then I remove this H-stack, and you'll see here nothing has changed. Since closure is now inside the round brackets, it's very easy to understand, and I think you will appreciate it more when we are refactoring it more and more, and you will see it. Same goes for any other components. If we want to check out the group, go in here, see right here the initialization. What we're going to do is the same thing, see where the group is ending here. All of this we can cut, then we can do the whole content that was out there. So now we know that, okay, this is ending here, so there's a round bracket, code folded, all goes inside the group. This increase the readability. So you will do the same things here like the list view. So if we actually check the list view is also going to have initializer like this that I'm going to bring in here. See, init and content, it does not need anything. Yes, it can get with a selection and all that stuff, it can get. I recommend using the full method signature rather than doing a trailing closures. What we're going to do, we're going to cut where the list is, cut the whole list out, and see content, paste this thing here, and now you know that readability is increasing. This happened mostly almost like every trailing closure that we got too comfortable using. If you want to do a scroll view, and you can also see that it is also, let's go to a declaration, the content. So if you want to show the indicator and all that stuff, if not, then what I can do is after this one, it is ending here. So we'll move this bracket here, and then I'll just do content. As you can see, that's suddenly just whole different ball game of clarity. It's going the backward, but trust me on this one that when the UI get complex, so now you have a views and now you want to tap on that, or there will be a on disappear and all that kind of method that is going to happen. So you will be like writing so many closures. On receive has for us and generally signature, but if you see the publisher and the perform action, because it's last parameter, it just gets you a trailing closure. Really gonna help you out in a real life app, and wherever you are using trailing closures, I would say start using the round bracket and you will see code is becoming much more readable. So for example, the button, right? So if I want to see the button over here, and I'm also using the trailing closures, right? I can see if I can go in a button and I can jump to definition and see the view builder label. I can move this one and I can close this, and if you see it's flawless. We have no build error, and things on the preview are not changing a bit, but here it has become a whole different thing. Button is starting where the action is starting, so it's kind of encapsulating this very unorthodox approach towards the SwiftUI, but I found in real apps that is very, very helpful. So next problem that I want to bring your attention to, the reusability of the code. So if I'm looking at this piece of a code over here, then it doesn't look much, right? It has a view inside the edge stack. Now there's spacer on both sides. If this view here is a fixed view, a square view, the copyright notice in the bottom. Like this view is not that important. I can run so you can take a look, but this is what it is. So let's say if we have, this is a credit view, of course you can have one credit view, but let's say if you have more views, the stick in the center. And now we are talking about different devices. So you cannot hard code. It's not a too complex code. I can definitely throw edge stack in and then spacer around and do it. The more often code that you are using, even that if you are applying same sort of a modifier into some content, those modifier should not be rewritten. I mean, you should be wrapping all those modifier into a new modifier and then should be applying that, creating a new file. See, its associated type is the body, the view builder function. So here, if you see this one, so basically we need to apply this method and the content will be a self content. Literally take this one out, whole content of it. The credit view, because now that part is gonna be changing, so we'll pass this content. Anytime when we are applying this view modifier to any view, that view will automatically pass into this content, that view will be returned, and then view modifier will be applied. If you go back, content view, all we have to do is modifiers, and then we'll call the center modifier. Resume this, you should see two identical SwiftUI. So now if you see that this is literally it's the same as those line of code. Now anywhere you need to set the content in the center, you can call the center modifier and it will just center any view that you have. bring your attention to the part which should be done by the iOS, but I don't know what's the reason behind it. If you look at this code is responsible for this right here. So if I want to change accent color, see, so now the accent color is red. So this code right here, this preview provider, is just for this. This code is not needed for your release configurations. So this is supposed to be there only for debug. Why this code is not conditional encapsulated just for a debug release? That extra code is not even being compiled for your release version. For a debug, you can type define, and capital D is for a define, and debug. If you encapsulate any code for if debug, only available in that configuration, if debug and if. And this is certainly something that we cannot check, but to just double check that this sort of things work, what we can do is we can, in the release configuration, now we know that when you're running the app, basically your scheme is running your debug build. Quickly put something in the contents, which is if, and we call release, and we call and if here, and this should be disappeared. So now we can see right now it's here, but if we resume it, do you see that? It's gone because this code is only going to get compiled when it is a release configuration. This video is getting long and I barely feel that I even scratched the surface. I'll be making another video to share more insight about the SwiftUI best practices and the real life learnings. Thank you for watching. Let me know if this video was helpful by liking. If you like to get benefited from a real life experiences and want to know how I handle day-to-day challenges, subscribe and hit the bell for a notification. Thank you and see you soon.